Welcome back. In this session, we see about the different IO data analytics, whether it is and categories of those analytics analysis. In previous session, we discussed about structured and unstructured data and how it is uh, kept using RDBMS or using different Hadoop or other manner. That is how to manage with those particular different kinds of data. So to apply data analysis, at least we need 4 different types of data analysis tools. So when we say tools, it is whether it is a descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive. So these 4 kinds of analysis we may need to apply on our data. So 4 types of analysis is supposed to have: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive. We'll see in detail about these things. And then we may need big data technology as a tool. So when we say big data technology, is nothing but it has to do with collect those data, integrate those data, then process, aggregate, and then visualize. So when we have these 5 stages with respect to big data: collect data, nothing but to collect the data from sensor, collect different data and sensors, sensor data, and supposed to merge it, integrate it, then supposed to apply some algorithm or processing stage, then supposed to aggregate it only the need, as per the need of the customer, as per the need of the user, supposed to aggregate those data, and then supposed to present those data in the form of visualization to the user. Coming to the data, what are the kinds of data we may have? Not only these many types, maybe more types of data. We may have raw and processed network operation data. Raw, like with the network data, for example, router data, router configuration data. We may have mobile internet related data, 2G, 3G, 4G, its tower location, all those comes under that. Machine and sensors, smart machines and its sensors, data baby by the usage, video data, social media data, and we may have events and alarms. For example, you already kept alarm in your mobile phone. You kept different events recorded in your mobile phone. You may have geolocation, latitude and longitude, CRM and ERP, customer relationship management and employee relationship management, all those things. Email and messaging, relationships and social influence. So these are the various kinds of data we are going to influence, we are going to make use in our data analysis. So again, coming to the IO data analytics part, so we divided data analysis into 4 types: descriptive, that is what is happening; diagnostic, why did it happen; predictive, what is likely to happen; and prescriptive, that is what should I do about it by those data, that is analysis. So this is what we are applying as analytic tool for the available data. So to have this particular analytics, initially we supposed to collect the data. We may have those data by using different big data technologies. We are going to see in detail about all those technologies. So each individual technology should be able to collect, integrate, process, aggregate, and present or visualize to the end user. So we may have these many kind of data to deal with analytics. So as we know, the 4 categories or types of data. The first one, descriptive. So descriptive data analysis tells what is happening either now or in the past. So this is the algorithm, kind of algorithm or tool that may need to use to have or to know the analytics, to know what is happening either now or in the past. Diagnostic analysis, when you are interested in the why, diagnostic data analysis can provide the answer. May have predictive. Predictive analysis aims to foretell problems or issues before they occur. Then we have prescriptive, trying to provide a solution. So we'll see, for example, descriptive is nothing but, so we may write in the text with respect to, say, consider Facebook as an example. What is happening? So today you may update in your Facebook saying that today you are visiting so and so place. You update with the description about the place, and you update with the pictures. That is what is happening with you on that particular day. And if you recollect the previous data in your Facebook, even Facebook will highlight what you did 3 years before in the past. If you uploaded a pic, it may shoot you saying that this is a memory that you have. So that is descriptive. So using that descriptive analytic tool, we can apply, or we can see, or can say what is happening and what has happened in the past. Coming to diagnostic, so we can apply diagnostic analytic tool to trace out what is the reason behind the data. For example, if you have the temperature kind of data, if there is an increase in temperature, we can easily identify what is the reason behind that increase. That is diagnostic. For example, if you consider with right now the scenario because of COVID-19, right? So now there may be different theories, different researches going on, but using this diagnostic tool, we may trace out what are the reasons behind those, why. Then coming to the predictive analytic tools helps us to predict or foretell problems. For example, weather forecasting. So based on the rainfall data of previous years, 30 years, 40 years, many years, predictive data analytics data. So we can almost can predict what will be the rainfall average on a particular day. That is about that, using that particular data, using the data which is already we have. So when we try to analyze which is the available data which is collected previously, using those data, if you are trying to have analytics, and if you predict what may happen today or tomorrow based on rainfall, so that is comes under predictive analysis. Coming to prescriptive, so prescriptive is something like it is beyond predictive, and we may try to have a solution as well. So this prescriptive is nothing but, for example, if something happens, if something predicted, so what are the measures can be taken out, comes under prescriptive. That is a step beyond predictive and recommends a solution for upcoming problem. For example, the scientist from NASA or ISRO, they may predict they may predict easily the weather structures and weather forecasting as well, and they may highlight what are solutions might be given. For example, coming to the traffic related information, if a particular road is having more traffic on a particular day, so then the map, Google map or other map may suggest you to divert with another route to avoid that particular traffic. So that is prescriptive. By analyzing a particular route's traffic and diverting that particular traffic into another route so that you can avoid that particular congestion. So that is prescriptive. Clear? Okay. So both predictive and prescriptive analysis are more resource intensive and increase complexity, as we know. If you have a resource, then only we can apply all this, and based on the data size, the complexities increases. But irrespective of that intensity and complexity, the value they provide is much greater than the value from descriptive and diagnostic analysis. That is by this predictive and prescriptive. So when you based on the data, so you say consider a rainfall situation, you're supposed to predict a rainfall. Consider if you have only a month of data of rainfall, only 1 month data. Consider this is a month of April. You have a March rainfall data. By using 1 month data, it is very difficult to predict because you have very limited data with you. So when you have 3 years, 30 years of data, then you can predict almost 90% accurate. So that is based on the size and complexity. When you say 30 years, for a 30 year, you're supposed to check each individual year, each individual month, and then week, then day. Complexity is increased. So whenever you have that intensity and complexity automatically, so you are having a great depth in your presentation, visualizations. Saying that you are giving very good result via using predictive analytics or prescriptive analytics other than descriptive and diagnostic. Okay, clear? Okay, moving further. So as the 4 data analysis types based on the complexity and the value, you can see descriptive analysis. We have on top of that, we have diagnostic analysis, we have predictive analysis, prescriptive analysis. So based on both value and complexity increases, so this prescriptive analysis will give you good result. That's why it is in the top rank. Prior to that, we have predictive analysis, then diagnostic analysis. So this is the reason. This is the reason when value and complexity data is increased. That's why we supposed to apply which tool. So based on this criteria, we supposed to select which tool we need for analytics. So that's why we have listed out in this particular manner, ordered manner: descriptive data, diagnostic data, predictive, and at last prescriptive. It's a hierarchy on the other way. So as usual, whenever there is a complexity in a data, we need better analytic tool to apply. When you have large number of data, better tool need to apply, right? So based on that, we supposed to select. That's why prescriptive analysis will sit in the top than other 3 analysis types. So what are the challenges behind applying this analytics? The challenges, if you are listed out, so many challenges we may supposed to face. Say when you have a RDBMS, relational database, but it is very difficult to have the data from IoT in a database because you may need to use a real-time database. Then only you can have this IoT data. For each time when you collect data from IoT, it is very difficult to have all those data in relational database. IoT data places. 2 specific challenges on a relational database. What are challenges can be faced with respect to this? One is a scaling problem and volatility of data. Coming to scaling problem, it is due to large number of smart objects in most IoT networks that continually send data. Relational databases can grow incredibly large very quickly. So one thing supposed to remember. So when we are making use of RDBMS, relational databases, it is structured. It will have specific columns. So now, if you are trying to make use of RDBMS, relational database management, with IoT, then it is very difficult to have all those data because you don't know. So the number of rows, right? That's why scaling issues may happen. So whenever there is more number of rows, your RDBMS work slowly. Performance issues may appear. Performance issues based on number of rows that we have in that particular table. Then there may be a need of hardware and architecture changes as well based on number of usage. For example, if you are making use of, consider just as an example, if you are making use of MySQL as an DBMS tool, backend tool, Then based on the number of data that we have, number of table that you have, number of schema that you have for that particular application, if it increases, then you may end up in performance related issues. Your MySQL won't turn up for you. It won't work for you. So if there is a case, then you supposed to again change with the architecture. You may apply another tool. Right. So that is how we'll have scaling problems. And volatility of data. We don't know what type of data we may have by IoT. So changing the schema again and again till stop or stop the database from operating. So what will happen if that is the case? Lack of flexibility, number of revisions you're supposed to give revisions to the schema, and IoT data is volatile. We don't know when the model need to be changed, when we need to change the sensor based on its capacity, its strength, right? So that is the volatility about the IoT data. We don't know when we need higher strength, higher significance with the data. So if there is a strength or more strength is needed, more data should be collected. We may need to change the sensor itself. Consider for as far as an example, initially you might have using mobile phone with having around 2 MP 2 megapixel camera module. So nowadays you are having with around 40 megapixel camera module in your mobile phone. So there is see the difference based on the quality of image, size of the image. You may need to change the schema. You may need to change the structure. So that's why volatile. So now to deal with the challenges like scaling and data volatility, a different type of database known as NoSQL is being used to deal with challenges like scaling and data volatility. A different type of database. So it is not sufficient to deal with RDBMS, relational database management system, structured database. So it is very difficult to have the data when we have number of data increasing size, increasing in rows and columns for each entries, and we can't change the schema in between. So that's why data volatility may occur. So we need to have different kind of database. That is NoSQL. So any clarification so far? So this is the 4 major categories, types of analytics we're supposed to have: analysis tool, descriptive, diagnostic, predictive and prescriptive, where predictive and prescriptive are more important. And why this is important? When we have large amount of data with the complexity and intensity of the data, we may need to apply predictive and prescriptive. So that's why prescriptive analysis and predictive sits in the top than other two. So then the challenges are scaling and volatility of data. So these are the two major things which made us to think beyond relational database management system. So that is NoSQL. Moving further. So any doubt can get back to me. Moving further. What is NoSQL? NoSQL is a class of database that supports semi-structured and unstructured data. What is semi-structured? Structured we know in the form of rows and columns. So semi-structured, only few components are available with structured data and some of the unstructured. What is unstructured? Unstructured data may have text, video, speech, and other kinds of data, movie, all those. So this NoSQL database supports these both kind of data as well. But NoSQL is not a specific database technology. Rather, it is an umbrella term that encompasses several different types of data. So when you have NoSQL, it is not a particular thing, a particular kind of setup. It is nothing but it will provide different other technology as well. It will provide a mechanism for storage of the system structured and unstructured data, so that we can model, we can weave, can tabulate all those, whatever the data we have using this NoSQL database. Moving further, so these are the different criteria or kind of data that we may have, that we may need to deal with our NoSQL databases. We may have document stores, we may have key value stores, we may have wide column stores, we may have graph stores. We'll see in detail about all this. So these are the kind of data we need to deal with. So these different types of databases. So this NoSQL is nothing but is a combination of all these. Combination of all these: document, key value, wide column, and graph stores. So in general, NoSQL is nothing but non-SQL. Non-SQL. No, SQL stands for structured query language. No SQL. There is no structure. Or non-relational database, we can say. So we may have tabular form of data, table data. In the form relation database, we may have key value pair stores. So all this. So what do you mean by document store? We'll see one by one. Document stores. So this type of database stores semi-structured data such as XML or JSON. Document stores generally have query engines and indexing features that allow for many optimized queries. So these document stores are nothing but which will have the database which stores semi-structured data. When we say semi-structured data, the semi-structured data may be collected via XML or JSON. So what it will have? Generally, it will have an indexing feature. So indexing, different kinds of indexing can be applied. Right. So document store will have those index kind of data in its database. So this semi-structured database will have those kind of data, that is query. We may have a query engine, we may have an indexing. For example, mobile and web application related data. So for example, catalog management, so that it is easily migrate and optimize those particular data by using NoSQL database. And then we have key value stores. So these stores associate arrays where a key is paired with an associated value. These databases are easy to build and easy to scale. So we have another kind of NoSQL database, that is key value stores. We may have appropriate key which is paired with a particular its associated value. That is key value stores. We may have wide column stores. So this wide column stores similar to key value, but the formatting of the values can vary from row to row, even in the same table. So each row may be given with different kind of value. The type of data may vary. So that is wide column stores. Then we may have graph stores. Graph stores will help us to provide relationship between elements. When we say elements, say with respect to social media data, natural language processing data, right? So we can't say, or we can't easily identify what kind of format, what kind of processing we may need to apply. So when we say the processing, so we may need to have document processing, we may need to have key value processing, we may need to have wide column processing, we may need to have graph processing as well. So this is based on the kind of data that we may have in our NoSQL database. So with this particular NoSQL database, along with that, some of the other challenges. So what are the challenges we may face over here? Because it is semi-structured data. With this semi-structured or unstructured data, we can't have RDBMS. That's why NoSQL, no structured query language database came to picture. So this will have these 4 different kinds of database, different kinds of database. So this is one of the challenge to deal with all this. Consider a situation when a smart object produces these 4 different kinds of database values. Check the depth, see the depth. So that's why this is one of the challenge as well to deal with unstructured and semi-structured data. Other challenges may include when we have large number of smart objects in IoT networks. Large number of smart objects in IoT networks that are communicating and streaming data, it can be challenging to ensure that these flows are effectively managed, monitored, and secure. For example, to give an example, consider a manufacturing industry, consider a vehicle manufacturing industry, a two-wheeler manufacturing industry. Starts from collection of raw materials. The manufacturing industry. So when a particular raw material is ready, the item may be kept ready. So you have handles, have wheel, have chassis, have wiring toolkit, or those are kept separately. Fuel tank, everything. So now in a row, everything should be connected using a platform as an example for this one. So now for each time, whenever you connect two hardwares, say you are trying to connect chassis with wheel, trying to connect chassis with the handle. Once handle is connected, fitted to the chassis, automatically a sensor should verify whether it is connected properly, bolt nuts tightened properly, and the balancing. This be kept ready with the sensors. So this data is available. Then once it is done with that, supposed to move to the next stage. Next stage, fuel tank supposed to set up. Again, lifting a fuel tank, fitting in a proper position, putting bolt and nut, tightening up. Again, so these every stage data, if you try to have in the backend, along with the video of entire stage, this is what we need to have. So that is a challenge now. Each and every phase in a manufacturing, every stage of manufacturing is recorded so that we can have all those data. So that we can manage those data very well and very efficient, can monitor those data, and we can secure those data. So to do this, we may make use of network analytic tools such as flexible NetFlow and IPFix, which will provide a capability to detect irregular patterns in the data flow. So this is again a challenge, biggest challenge. Okay, so any clarification so far?